Sales Proformance Show.
Welcome back to the Sales Proformance Show, everybody. I'm your host, Dave Sliman, and today is another series of the Sharpen Your Axe episode. I started these last month, and I love doing this show because I really want to give perspectives on the things that I've accomplished and the things that I have done and strategies that I've applied to be successful. And these strategies I've either learned from great mentors, I've learned with great professionals I've worked with, great personal relationships. And every time I do this show, I just love sharing perspectives on how to help you reach your goals and reach your achievements personally and professionally. So today's show is going to be geared around goal setting and the mechanics of being an impactful and a strategic goal setter. I'm going to break down some strategies, my 4 Ps we'll talk about today. But before I do that, I didn't really go over this in my first episode, and that is really what sharpen your axe means, okay? And there's a great story about sharpening your axe. And once upon a time, there was this great, strong woodcutter, and he asked for a job at a timber merchant, and it paid really well. The conditions were great. And for those reasons, that woodcutter decided that was the best place for him to work. So the boss gave him an axe, showed him where to work. And on the first day, he went out and he started cutting down trees. Well, he cut down 18 trees on the first day. Came back in at the end of the day. The woodcutter was sticking up his chest. And he said, "That's great. Go on your way. I'll see you back here tomorrow." Well, as the week went on, the woodcutter started losing a little bit of momentum. On the second day, he cut down 15 trees. On the third day, he was down to 10. On the fourth day, he was down to 4. And then by the end of the week on Friday, he had not cut down 1 tree. So the woodcutter came back in to the timber merchant and ultimately said, "Hey, listen, I apologize. I failed you." And he asked him one question, and that was, "Have you sharpened your axe?" And the woodcutter looked at him and said, "Sharpen my axe? I've been cutting down trees all week. How could I do that?" So the moral of the story here is that you can't keep cutting down trees all the time. You can't just be going at it all the time. You have to take time to work on yourself personally and professionally to sharpen your axe. I mean, there's a great quote by Abraham Lincoln where they said, Abraham Lincoln, if we were to ask you to cut down a tree, what would you do? He said, "I'd sharpen my axe for the first 4 hours, and then I'd take 1 hour to cut it down." So ultimately, that's what this show is about. It's about sharpening your axe. It's about sharpening your skills so that you can use tools from these talks and these shows and really apply them to your daily life. And hopefully they help you out. So I love doing this stuff, and I appreciate you being here. So first off, today we're going to be talking about goal setting, the mechanics of being a more strategic, a more impactful goal setter, and following through on your goals. As we talked about on our last show, goals are super important. Commitments are even more important, the things that you have to do each and every day. But I really want to talk about the mechanic style of laying down a good foundation so that you can execute on your goals. So first and foremost, here's what it comes down to before we get into the real strategic plan. But first and foremost, here's what it comes down to. Believe that you deserve it. I think there's so many people out there, and even in some cases in my life, where you just don't feel like you deserve it, or you haven't gotten to that point that you've wanted to achieve, and maybe you just haven't put the mindset in place that you deserve this. Listen, all of you are here to do something impactful and do something great for the communities that you live in and for the people that you touch each and every day in your lives. And believe in the fact that you deserve success. You deserve to be on top. You deserve the income. You deserve the great job. You deserve the relationship. So first off, buy into the fact that you deserve it. Secondly, I picked this up a while ago, and I heard it, and then I heard it most recently with a guest. But the second thing is to envision what it feels like to have that success you want, whether that's money, whether that's a job, whether that's a career, a personal relationship, finding the right person in your life. Envision what that feels like. And when you do achieve that, how you're going to feel, because it starts making it real for you. It starts making it real. And I truly believe in the subconscious mind. And the conscious mind is what sits up front, and the subconscious is always working every day of every minute, even when you're sleeping. And when you start subconsciously envisioning what that feels like, you're getting that much closer, a step closer to your dreams and your goals and the things that you vision that you want in your life. So I want to look at goal setting now from a macro, and I like to call it the pyramid strategy. Okay. So we're all in the middle of the year right now. And I know everybody does this in the beginning of the year, and they set their goals and then they kind of put them to sleep. And sometimes they look at them, sometimes they don't. But I want to talk to you about a pyramid strategy that I really found effective, that works for me, and hopefully it'll apply for you. But the pyramid strategy for me is when I go into a year, or I go into a part of the year where I want to set goals, I essentially want to start top down. Okay. And starting top down really means with one goal, and that is a big umbrella goal, such as your year. Okay. Beginning of the year, set your goal from the beginning of the year. What do you want to achieve? What are the big rocks? What are the big things that you want to achieve throughout the year? Whether that's income level, whether that's making, building on a relationship, maybe it's a career promotion or upscaling, anything that you really want to do to build your career as you go along. Okay, so we're looking at a macro level to a micro level. And I want you to think of it this way. In the beginning of the year, you set your annual goals, right? And what's most important on that is that you have very clear and timely goals that start from one point and they end at another. Now, I always like to look at it from another layer, which is my quarterly goals. What do I want to set up to achieve each quarter that are going to equal out and really draw a roadmap for me in order to get where I want to be at the end of the year? And then I establish my monthly goals, which will reflect a roadmap to my quarterly goals. And then I'm going to start my weekly goals, which are going to get me a roadmap to my monthly goals. So when you start layering it down in that pyramid scheme, it really becomes clear. Now, it takes a little bit of work. Now, again, once you set the annual goals, you just work yourself down. So it's a top down approach. And it's a really great way to break down a clear and concise roadmap of where you want to be. Again, we talked about this last time. Your goals are super important. Now, the commitments that you need to make on a daily basis, or a weekly basis, or a monthly basis, or a quarterly basis in order to get to that top goal is really how it's built. So it's a really effective way to do it. Now, also, when it comes to the layout of this, we're in half the year right now. So you could actually start for the remaining of the year. You could do quarter 2, quarter 3 for the remainder of the year. Could be your top goal, then your 2 quarters, then your monthly goals, and then your weekly goals. Now you can go into each month and each week setting your goals for that time period. And then each quarter, I like to reassess and evaluate my goals going in for the next year as I move along. So long and short of it is, use that pyramid scheme. It's a great way to approach it. Now, I want to talk about 4 incremental pieces that are the foundation of setting up strategic goals and executing on the goals and the achievements that you want to attain in your life. And these are my 4 P's. Okay. So here are the 4 P's: preparation, practice, proactive, and progress. Okay. I'm going to say that one more time. The 4 things that you need to focus on is your preparation, your practice, getting proactive, and measuring your progress. That's what it comes down to. Those are the 4 fundamental P's that are going to help you achieve your goals. Now let's break these down individually. Preparation. Okay. You always have to prepare. Sometimes that's in your mind, sometimes that's physically, but most importantly, you have to prepare in the idea of achieving your goals. You need to come to a agreement with yourself that you're going to do everything and anything to prepare for your goals. And sometimes that, again, really that first step is what we just talked about, setting up your pyramid. That's a huge preparation step in setting up how you want to achieve your goals. The pyramid is a great first step, breaking those individual things down and then going into it as the year goes on and attacking it. Another great way to prepare, again, is going into a week. If you're trying to accomplish goals for a month, you want to go into your week, prepare your weeks. What do you want to accomplish in those weeks? Do you have action items that need to be attained? How are you going to attain those action items? It's very, very clear. It starts becoming very, very clear when you have an end goal and you understand what it's going to take for you to get there, and then you achieve it. That's really the first step, is that preparation. Okay, the second step is practice. Oh, practice. Now, and I'm not just talking about practicing your trade or practicing becoming a perfect individual. We're not perfect, but a stronger individual. I'm talking about really practicing good lifestyles, drinking enough water, working out, clearing your mind, meditating, reading books, good information in, good information out, listening to podcasts like this, listening to great podcasts. All those sort of things are great ways to practice being stronger personally and being stronger professionally. That's the real key to this, is practicing good lifestyles. Sometimes that's prayer. Sometimes, again, that's meditation. But all those things, identify 5 things personally and professionally. It's very simple. Identify 5 things personally and professionally that you will need to practice each week in order to build momentum for your goal achievement. 5 things. Again, I'm going to give you an example. Personally, I want to work out 5 times this week. I'm going to be drinking X amount of water each day. I'm going to limit my caffeine intake. I'm going to read a book a month or a book a week, whatever that might be for you. I'm going to listen to motivational podcasts. Okay, great. And then on a professional side, if you're a sales professional and you want to become stronger in your craft, ultimately you want to practice your presentation. If you have presentations coming up this week, you're going to want to practice and visualize how those are going to go and what you're going to say in your cadence and your presentation style and execution plan. But you want to practice all those things as you go versus just jumping into them. So what you're going to see is that when you start practicing those, you're going to get stronger. You're going to be able to pick up new ideas. Your foundation is going to be stronger, and you're going to be able to execute more on those goals and those achievements as you go along. So the second thing, again, is great practice, a practice of a personal lifestyle and a professional lifestyle. Now, the third P sounds simple, but it's proactive. Get your ass off the couch. Get off the social media. Focus on the things that are going to move the needle. Get proactive. Don't procrastinate. That is a negative P here. Get into it. You know, in the sales world, I would always tell professionals, I still do today, sometimes the hardest door to open is that car door if you're out in the field. Or sometimes the hardest door is to open up that office door and get on the phone. But realistically, once you start getting proactive, you will see how quickly the momentum starts working in your favor. I always say this, when you're doing the right things personally and professionally, the universe just conspires with you in order to put things in your way to help you become more successful and to build on those goals. Again, I'm going to say that again. The whole idea is when you start doing things personally and professionally in the right way and getting proactive, the universe will conspire with you to make things happen and fall your way. So really believe that. So get proactive. You know, when you're leaving it all on the table, or you're leaving it all on the field, or you're leaving it all in the office and putting all your effort in, and you know when you're not. Now, listen, we can't be 100% on all the time, but here's the deal. It's all about progress. It's not about perfection. Every day we get stronger, we get a little bit weaker. We never stay the same. So focus on getting stronger each and every day and building every step towards those professional and personal goals. Okay, last P, progress. You have to measure your progress. We started this off with the pyramid of, your goal setting. And a lot of times, what you do is you just keep going at it, going at it, going at it, but you're never measuring your progress. Even in the story I talked about earlier, with the woodcutter, he was measuring his progress every day. If you're falling behind on your goals and you're measuring your progress and you're falling behind, you need to make adjustments. You need to fill in areas and gaps where you're weaker, and you need to keep putting pressure and celebrating on the areas where you're having success. And that is ultimately a roadmap to becoming a true professional. I know it sounds easy, but it really is not. Measuring your progress and self evaluation is one of the hardest things to do go along, because sometimes if you're behind the ball, you don't want to look at that progress. You just want to keep going and going at it and hoping you'll catch up. But sometimes what you need to do is really sit back, reevaluate, and focus on the areas that you need improvement. And again, keep putting pressure on those areas where you're having great success. But if you don't measure it, if you don't know where you are, you can't figure out where you're going. And you ultimately need to measure your progress. Go to the data sometimes. So those are the 4 keys to increasing personal and professional success and getting to the place where you want to reach your goals. Again, I'm going to go through these one more time. The first P is preparation. Always prepare mentally and physically. 2, practice. Get in the reps. Put the reps in. Get the practice. Take a look at it. Strategize. Jump in. Prepare yourself before you just jump in. That's the real key. 3rd, get proactive. Get off your ass. Get moving. And last, progress. Measure the progress that you're putting out there, and put on pressure in areas where you need to be successful. Put on pressure where areas are successful, and put more heat on the areas where you need to improve and make adjustments as you go. So listen, this concludes the 2nd series of the Sharpen Your Axe series. I really appreciate you all being here. I love doing this show. And next week, we will see you on the Sales Proformance podcast show, where I will have my next guest. I appreciate you being here. Again, wealth, health, and success. We'll see you next time.
The Sales Proformance Show.